Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are MC.
The Comeback Kids are at it again. Yesterday's exciting walk-off was the Royals' third win this year after trailing by 5 runs. It was their 38th come-from-behind win of the season. But that was yesterday. Time is running out, and the first-place Tigers are in town for 3. Game 1 is next on Fox Sports Kansas City.
And the 0-2. Swing and a bomb to deep right field, and that ball is gone! And the Royals win it in 13 innings!
Royals baseball comes to you one day after a thrilling game for Mike Moustakas and the Royals. A victory over Seattle, 7-6 in 13 innings. Just 22 games to go. The Royals are 8 games back in the Central, but now just 4.5 back in the American League wild card. Hi, everyone. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Welcome back to the ballpark. Good to hear Steve Stewart's call yesterday on the Royals radio network. 15 straight games now for the Royals against teams above 500, and 6 of those against the first-place Tigers. Now, the Royals so far are ahead in the season series, 7-6. It's been a series dominated by good pitching. In fact, if you add up the total runs in each game, they're only averaging about 6.5 runs total between the two teams, and we expect great pitching again tonight. Anibal Sanchez, he's been very good lately over his last 8 starts, even better against the Royals. Going up against James Shields, 4-0 over his last 5 with an ERA of 1.5 and an excellent ERA against the Tigers. As always, we're joined by Rex Hudler, and, well, here we are. The games matter more than ever now. The Royals can't afford to have a bad series against the Tigers. They've got the right guy on the mound.
They sure do. But you know what? The Royals front office, they knew that they had a chance this time of year to play meaningful games, and it's exciting and all, but they went out and got James Shields for the one specific reason. That was to be the leader like he has been, but to beat the Tigers. And he hasn't been a disappointment at all. He's 3-1 against these Tigers, and that's important because they knew the Detroit Tigers are going to be strong, but so has James Shields. He's been really good with his pitches. I love the fact that he's able to get underneath bats and use his defense, but the main thing is his passion, his intensity, his attention to detail, the fact that he moves infielders around. It's exciting to watch his body of work.
And it's easy to get caught up with Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer, but Anibal Sanchez, who pitches for the Tigers tonight, he has the best ERA in the league.
And keep you in the game, which is extremely important.
And he has the lowest ERA of any starter that has faced Detroit more than once this year with a 2.48 ERA. Welcome back to Kauffman Stadium. Joel Goldberg out here in right field, and this is one of the reasons they got James Shields for the big games, hence his nickname, Big Game Shields. And when it comes to going out there and pitching and eating innings, he is one of the best. Our Toyota League leaders takes a look at most innings pitched in baseball since 2007. CC Sabathia, Justin Verlander, who goes tomorrow, Felix Hernandez, and James Shields. And Ned Yost says all of these guys are good, not just because they're dominant and great pitchers, but they can go out there and be consistent.
When they have their good stuff, they're going to dominate a game. When they don't have their good stuff, they still find a way to get you through 6 innings and keep you in the game, which is extremely important.
And Shields has done that, going 7 innings or more every time against Detroit this year. The Bats will try to continue their hot ways. They'll face Anibal Sanchez. First pitch coming up next.
Ball is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Play Cadillac Riches Scratchers game and you could win a new Cadillac. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealer, the official vehicle of the Kansas City Royals. So 22 to go, 6 against the Tigers and 6 against the team in front of them in the Central, the Cleveland Indians. And the Tigers were here yesterday. They had a day off. They had lost 2 out of 3 in Boston, and on Wednesday they lost 20-4. Tonight's game is brought to you in high definition by Time Warner Cable, the official TV, internet, and home phone provider of the Kansas City Royals. So for Jim Leyland, those fountains are a welcome sight, getting out of Fenway Park after facing the Red Sox. And I would think those standings this deep into the season would be a welcome sight for him.
They are, but what's not a welcome sight is that royal blue and white jerseys out there, because he knows they come to play, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Now, his lineup, pretty impressive. Now, some of those guys in there, besides Cabrera, Miggy's being Miggy, but Victor Martinez has been good since July. So is Omar Infante, their second baseman. So they've got a couple of guys in there that have been pretty hot lately. But if it's up to Big Game James, he can calm them. Opponent's average only 249. He's got really good stuff. Strikeouts are up. Walks aren't too bad. But 161, he knows how to get it under the bats. Sinkers, curveballs, great changeup, and a 4-seam fastball that he'll use
periodically upstairs.
Austin Jackson takes ball one. He enters this series with a 6-game hitting streak. And this time Shields hits the corner. 1 ball and 1 strike. Tigers are second in the league in runs scored. Jackson, as far as individuals go, he is 5th in the league with 90. So 10 more runs scored, and he will have scored at least 100 in 3 of 4 seasons. And a nice easy hop for Alcides Escobar, 1 away.
Defensively, they're all nails. They're going to make a great play somewhere tonight. We just know it. But Salvador Perez, wow. I bet base runners for the Tigers are going to be a little bit nervous out there with Salvi, because Salvi, he's thrown out 19 base stealers this year and commands a very good game. Good to see him not have any concussion-like symptoms after coming out of yesterday's game in the 5th inning.
Ball 1 to Torrey Hunter. He came out after reaching on a base hit and an RBI. The play that concerned the Royals was earlier than that. He took another foul ball right off the mask and was really staggered after he took that shot. And now Torrey Hunter gets it inside the bag, and David Lowe is to the ball quickly, and that holds Hunter to a 1-out single. And when I say staggered, I'm talking about after he was hit. Watch him, he falls backward into home plate umpire Angel Hernandez.
Yeah, it's the ones off the jaw that have really been hurting him the most. But we've seen him take his lion's share of foul tips off that mask. So he's got a little different mask, a little different approach today. Maybe moving a little bit closer towards the pitcher will keep him underneath some of those foul tips. That's Ned's strategy with him.
So 1 on, 1 out for Miguel Cabrera. And there probably wasn't anybody with the Tigers who needed that off day yesterday more than Cabrera. He did play on Wednesday in that game in Boston, but before that he had missed 3 games in a row. He has all kinds of ailments: a bruised shin, a sore knee, a strained abdominal muscle, and yet .355 with 43 home runs and 130 RBIs.
Just unbelievable. With all the aches and pains and injuries he's playing through, to still be the game's best with no letdown. Talks about his mental focus, a lot about his work ethic, and just really how skilled the guy is. But tough mentally to play while he's hurt like that. You can see he's got good numbers against James Shields and every other starter that he faces.
Changeup. And that did not look like a typical Miguel Cabrera swing. That looked like a hurt Miguel Cabrera. Great pitch by Shields to the right guy at the right time. 2 down.
Sure was, but you know what though? Even the greatest hitter in the world going to swing and miss on one of the best changeups in the world. James Shields. Well documented. His changeup is as good as anyone's.
And now Shields is adjusting the defense on his own. He wants Escobar over on the right side of second base. Prince Fielder, just like Miguel Cabrera, goes after the first pitch and fouls it away.
You see a lot of opposing hitters against Shields swing at the first pitch because they have a higher percentage rate of getting a fastball, and those are a little bit easier to square up. He gets you down in the count. He can throw you that changeup, and you can't hit that very often.
Changeup down and away. Prince Fielder, when the Royals were in Detroit last time in that 5-game series, he had 2 home runs. He drove in 4. Prior to that, he had just 2 RBIs against the Royals. Before that last series in Detroit, the Royals had really pitched Fielder and Cabrera well. They had very little impact in the games. Bonifacio will throw out fielder, and James Shields has a scoreless top of the first. Against the Tigers, although most of those games were decided by 2 runs or less. This year, the Royals are 7-6 against Detroit, and same deal, a lot of very close games. 7 of the 13 have been decided by 1 run. The runs are exactly equal. The Tigers have a higher batting average. It might surprise you, the Royals have hit more home runs. And here's how they're lined up tonight against right-hander Anibal Sanchez.
That is shocking because the Tigers are second in the league in homers. Now, anyone can drive the bus, especially recently. Alex Gordon, he's been going pretty good. Those 57 RBIs in the leadoff spot, that's the most from a leadoff hitter in the AL. Salvi, he's been good his last few games too. Billy Butler's 5 for 5. But when it comes to missing bats, this guy's been missing a lot of them. Look at that opponent's average, 227. Ooh, man. 227 is very low, especially right-handers. They're only hitting 203 off of him. He's given up just 8 home runs, 5 to lefties and 3 to righties.
In for a strike to Alex.
As far as his pitching goes, he's got a cut fastball. And he'll go low. He'll reach mid-90s.
Hit deep into the left field corner, slicing, and that is a fair ball. So Alex is at second base with his 25th double of the year.
Cut fastball, curveball, slider, and changeup, and he mixes them all in. Alex Gordon didn't fool him there. Went with it. Avila, catcher, sitting up on the outer half. The ball was on the inner half. However, Alex did a great inside-out swing there. And just by 3 feet, he talked it fair. Bonifacio knows the situation. Get him over to third base. Try to pull one.
And he'll do that trying to bunt. Sanchez, bare hands. Man, nice play. So both teams are happy there. Sanchez prevented a hit against his former teammate with the Marlins. And Bonifacio gets Gordon over to third.
Wow. That's a gold glove play. Falling back across the line on your heels, and he threw a dart. Some athleticism. Nice job. Getting him over. Little sack bunt. Jim Leyland bringing his Tiger infield in early for this one. Haas 3 for 13 in his career against Sanchez.
He has 15 hits this year against the Tigers after getting 5 last year. The Tigers will pitch him as carefully as they can. And Fielder backhands. He will come to the plate. The throw is high. And on a collision, Avila is able to tag out Alex.
Wow, so back-to-back quality plays. Cut down the run at home. Fielder off balance, made the throw, but it was high. Avila came up and caught it and then came down to apply the tag. I mean, Alex's only chance was to stay low and to try to sneak down underneath. And it was just not in time. So Anibal Sanchez is doing what he did in his last start here. He's cutting these Royals down when they had plenty of opportunities, and that's that last start. He had men all over the bases, and he was able to get out of it. You got to change that.
So Hosmer's at first with 2 down, and now Billy Butler, who had 8 hits in the Seattle series, and that includes 5 yesterday. And Hosmer runs, and that seemed to catch the Tigers off guard. That is number 11 for Eric Hosmer. And the Royals have really used the running game against the Tigers this year. They had 9 the last time they were in Detroit, and now they have outstolen, if you will, the Tigers 21-1 this year.
Oof. You know, it's like the Tigers have power, the Royals don't have as much. But the Royals have speed and the Tigers have very little.
Up the middle, and that stolen base is going to turn into a run. So those 2 good defensive plays seem to put an end to the Royals' bottom of the first inning, but Billy Butler drives in Eric Hosmer. 1-0 KC.
He had 5 hits yesterday. He's 6 for 6. Yesterday and today, and timely, right away. Billy knew that Sanchez was going to try to get in there and get ahead of him, and he stayed in the big part of the field. Nice pickup by Billy right there for his 73rd ribby.
And now ball 1 to Moustakas, who won the game yesterday in the bottom of the 13th inning. With 2 strikes in the count. He had just missed a home run into the right field corner, a ball that was hit very deep, and then hit a line drive into the right field bullpen to win the game. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Okay, he thought he got one there, but just a little bit too much top hand. He hooked it. Came back, made the adjustment. And nothing wrong with that little bat flip, because that won the game. That's nice. He knew it. Big pickup.
And while it's mostly been a tough year for Moustakas at the plate, not against the Tigers. He has done very well against them. So he's one of the reasons why the Royals are 7-6 against Detroit. He's hit .323 against them this year. Pretty good swing there. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, you can tell, you know, he's much more comfortable in his swings. Very relaxed to start. Loose grip on the bat.
His home run yesterday was his first in just a little over a month. Full count.
Nice take. You know, since the second half of the season, he's hit over 300 with a .457 slugging here at home at the K. Moose has made some big improvements, and he's finishing strong. They need him to continue his pace the rest of the 22 games. They got to have his bat in there. And it's nice to see his calf muscles not ailing him.
Billy runs on the 3-2 pitch, and it's pulled over to the Royals dugout. So there you go, 2:15 going into the break. And when the Royals got hot in the second half, so did Mike Moustakas.
But you know, the numbers may be down from last year, but the gains that he's made mentally and growing up as a Major League Baseball player have been a lot greater than his numbers. He's learned how to handle failure the best way he can.
And we'll do it again. I was almost expecting yesterday, as he was rounding the bases, after everything he's gone through this year, that there would just be this explosion of emotions, you know, just blowing off steam, a walk-off home run in a very important game. But there was a calmness about him. I mean, he was part of the celebration, don't get me wrong, but just a little leap onto home plate, just kind of toss his helmet aside. I mean, he has been a lot calmer in the second half as he pulls it on the ground to fielder. Sanchez to the bag in time. The Royals get a 2-out run. Billy Butler, after a stolen base, drives in Eric Hosmer.
Get him over, get him in. Just win, Billy.
Stadium to benefit Ducks Unlimited. You can visit with the Heartland Bowhunter TV and the Heartland Waterfowl TV teams in the outfield experience and catch their shows on the Outdoor Channel on Monday, Tuesday, and Saturday nights. So that's tomorrow, 6:10 with the Tigers or the Ducks. Both teams have really come out swinging tonight. The Royals against Anibal Sanchez in the bottom of the first, and now the Tigers' second straight inning. They've come out hacking against James Shields. Victor Martinez, Andy Dirks, and Alex Avila. Shields gave up a 1-out single in the first inning, and that's it. And pulled foul, 0-2. .73 driven in for Victor Martinez. 1 year after missing the entire 2012 season, he injured his knee after the 2011 season, and he drove in over 100 runs that year for the Tigers.
Yeah, Ryan, he was a great hitter before that, and he went down and he missed the entire season. So there was a lot of people wondering about this season. How is he going to rebound? And he kind of struggled through the first half of the season. He's 34 years old. He's in his 10th year in the big leagues. But since July 1st, he's been on a really nice roll. Hitting .374, 31 runs scored, 17 doubles. He's back to the Victor Martinez that left 2 years ago.
And Shields is just pounding him inside, and that's all Martinez can do is pull it foul.
Victor, being a switch hitter, still uses the opposite field with the best of them. Kind of like Miguel a little bit. So that's why Shields is pounding him in. You give this guy anything out over the plate, he's going to stay inside the ball and find a gap.
It's also got him set up for a changeup down and away. That's what Sal wanted. He sets up outside, and the changeup is down and in, 2-2.
You know, listening to Joe Goldberg and Jeff Montgomery's pregame show is always entertaining, and I love listening before games. And Monty was talking about how durable James Shields has been. Very durable this year. Now, he started out and he was good at the beginning of the season, but he didn't get any run support, so it didn't appear like he was pitching very well. But in the second half here and last couple months, he's looking as sharp as he did in April.
Alex to the line, across the line, and he has room. Martinez is out, number one. James Shields has been so good, as you said, all year, and in particular in his last 5 starts. We remind you, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. Andy Dirks, the Kansas native from Burton. And Shields throws strike one. Well, here's some numbers to go with your durability comment. He won his 10th game last time out against Toronto. 7th consecutive seasons he's won at least 10. He's won as many as 16. 7th straight season he's had at least 30 starts, and after 4 innings tonight, it'll be the 7th straight season with at least 200 innings.
Durable and consistent.
He leads the American League with 197 and a third innings. Boy, did he dominate the Blue Jays on Sunday. He retired the first 11, so he was good right away. None of those early inning problems for him. The Blue Jays had 2 runners in 1 inning once, and they had only 2 runners in scoring position the whole game. I mean, they had almost no chances against him.
He matched his career high in strikeouts with 9, and there's his first walk.
And Dirks is a stolen base threat. Not a big stolen base threat, but 7 out of 8. And now Alex Avila. Last time the Royals faced the Tigers, he was on the disabled list because of a concussion. And the last time Avila played against the Royals, he was hitting 178. Detroit Tigers are dead last in the league in stolen bases. They have 32 stolen bases in 140 games. And Avila jumps on the first pitch. Alex into the corner and on the wall, but it's back into the 3rd row, 0-1.
Well, you know, you can't control where you hit the ball most of the time as a hitter. But if you're trying to hit to left field, you're making a big mistake. If you're trying to get a hit out there and there's any air under it. Because just watching Alex Gordon climb the side of that wall tells me he is really hungry to make a catch. But, you know, it's very rare that you have a power hitting team that's also a stolen base team. You either usually have one or the other. Because you don't want to take a chance of stealing when you got power hitters and they make outs when you can hit homers.
0-2. Alex Avila has also been on the disabled list because of a left forearm contusion. So he has been battered, as well as his batting average taking quite a dip. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Brian Pena, the former Royal, was getting the bulk of the playing time when Avila was out. Did a nice job for the Tigers, especially at the plate.
I'll say 23 games since the All-Star break, 368 for Brian Pena.
And Avila laying off a tough pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He didn't even flinch at that. I think Shields put it exactly where he wanted it. Just missed. And that's right where Perez wanted it. So from 0-2 to 3-2.
Yeah, Avila's really showing some nice patience up there.
He has struck out 93 times in 272 at bats. So you wouldn't expect Andy Dirks to be running, but we'll see. And he is. And a line drive into center field, and that'll send Dirks from first to third.
That's a really good swing. He kept his head down there and stayed inside the ball. Didn't try to pull it. Dirks, the base runner, that's an easy read. It's a good thing James got out of the way of that.
And now Omar Infante, who has not hit like a number 8 hitter this year, batting .319, and he's had a great year against the Royals, hitting .440, and he has some pop with 9 home runs.
He's grounded into 7 double plays. James would love to make it 8.
Cutter is outside, ball 1.
That .319 average you mentioned, Ryan, that's the best amongst American League second basemen. Highest average.
Part of the same trade last year that brought Anibal Sanchez to the Tigers. Both coming over from the Miami Marlins. Infante, for him, he's going back to his original organization, and that's into left center field. So the Tigers, with 1 out, get 3 straight runners, a walk and 2 singles. And Infante continues his productive hitting against the Royals. And the Tigers tie the game at 1.
Come right back. Right down the middle. Short to the ball.
And now 2 on for Ramon Santiago, who is typically a backup infielder. Jose Iglesias is the Tigers' regular shortstop. And Santiago's swinging at the first pitch. So, as you pointed out in the first inning, Hood, very aware of Shields' changeup. They're trying to jump on the first good fastball they see.
Got that right. First ball hacking. And I'm sure after James gets through the first round here with these guys, they'll start mixing it up.
Avila's at second base and Fonte is at first. And that is a fair ball over the bag. Avila scores. Infante will be held at third, and Ramon Santiago, that is just his 10th extra base hit all year, and it gives the Tigers a 2-1 lead.
Santiago, he knew that James Shields was going to come after him. The number 9 hitter in the Tigers order, some might think could be a weak link. Now he's hitting 231, not a lot of power, but he knew he was going to be pitched to, so he was aggressive, and he got him a pitch out over, just like Infante's pitch. So James Shields has missed out over the plate.
Ball 1-2 Austin Jackson. He opened the game with a ground ball to short. So 4 straight have reached. 2 have scored, and now 2 in scoring position for Jackson. And he's ahead in the count 2-0. Great changeup. 2-1.
It seems like that walk to Andy Dirks kind of threw James's confidence off a little bit, and he started saying, okay, I'll have to throw some strikes. They've been too good at pitches.
After the walk, Avila singled, Infante singled in a run, and Santiago doubled in a run. And that's off the fist into right center field. Dyson can't get it. Lowe backs him up. And now the throw to second is not in time, as Santiago actually ran through a stop sign. Third base coach Tom Brookins put the stop sign up very late. Santiago had committed, and fortunately for him, the throw went to second, and the Tigers have scored 4 in the second inning.
Another well-placed ball. Okay, on a ball that's elevated. Now that was on the inner half. It wasn't exactly down the middle of the plate. Good piece of hitting, but he stayed inside of it. And he shot the ball that way on purpose. He wanted to see if he could move the runner, and he did. Look at the third base coach holding the stop sign up, and Santiago ran right through it, just like you said, Ryan. And by the time Escobar saw him leave, he couldn't get it out of his glove to throw him out at home.
Now the first inning looked like a typical James Shields inning. The Tigers didn't have very good swings. Torrey Hunter, who bats now, had that ground ball base hit in between Hosmer and first. But in this inning, aside from Jackson swinging and missing at that changeup, they really seem to be reading him well. We haven't seen an off-balance swing.
No, they're on him.
And now Hunter hits it past his third base coach, 0-1.
Okay, that's on the inner half. That's down the middle. Inner half, but a lot of the plate up.
That one wasn't a bad pitch.
No, it wasn't. That's a jam shot. Lots of times guys are going to try to pull that, and they're going to hit a little ground ball to the left side. So Tigers are doing things right here in this inning. Offensively. Running through a stop sign and you were safe. That usually doesn't happen.
Torrey Hunter singled in the first inning. He has not had a good year against the Royals. He's hitting right around 200 against KC. But he has done well in his career against James Shields, which includes 44 at-bats. .313 home runs, 1,215 RBIs for Torrey Hunter. Got him to chase. So 95 up, and Hunter couldn't get around on it. That's strikeout number 2 for Shields.
There's that four-seamer up. That's designed for that swing and miss pitch there. That's the four-seamer. Some of the other pitches in this inning were a little bit up. They were able to get their wood on it.
30th pitch of the inning, and ball 1-2 Cabrera, who struck out on a changeup. It didn't look like a full swing by Cabrera. It looked like he was fooled by the pitch, so it wasn't a bad pitch. It was a good pitch, but the swing by Cabrera looked like a guy who was guarding an injury.
Especially from him. You don't see him swing like that very often.
2-0. And now 3 balls, no strikes. Tigers have scored all 4 in this inning. Infante, Santiago have driven in runs. Jackson has driven in 2. And Jackson's at second base with 2 down. Goes with a cutter, knowing that Cabrera would swing at something that he liked.
Yep, can't give him anything too good, 3-0, especially a hitter like him. However, I've seen him a lot this year against the Royals, taking 3-0.
That's up, and it's over Moustakas. So again, not a bad pitch, but the Tigers turn it into a hit and a run, and they have scored 5 in the second inning.
Wow, James misses with the pitch, and the Tigers offense has not missed with their swings. It's an up and in fastball. And, you know, Miguel Cabrera's strong enough he can fight that off. So James has to find a way to stop the bleeding here. We've seen some first innings like this, but never second innings. Usually after the second inning, first inning, he cruises.
So Prince Fielder is the 9th man to bat. And that's the 35th pitch of the inning. James got Fielder on a routine ground ball to second base in the first inning. Royals have stacked the right side of the infield with Escobar, Bonifacio, and Hosmer. Moustakas is all by himself on the left side. And Fielder fouls it away, 0-2. .95 RBIs for Fielder, but just 22 home runs, which is down for him. So he is on pace for the lowest home run output of his career, which was 28 7 years ago in his first full season. And now he hits it into right center field. And luckily for the Royals, it's Miguel Cabrera who's running. So he hobbles into second base, and Fielder down in the count has a base hit. And now Victor Martinez comes up with a chance to make the first and the last out in the same inning.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned that Fielder's numbers were down. Well, James Shields' pitches aren't down. Typically, he's got that two-seam running fastball that's heading downward, his changeup, everything's moving down. And when that happens, the guy's going to hit the top half of the ball. But what we're seeing is these pitches are elevated, whether they're located properly or not, but anything up can be flared out in there, and that's what we're seeing this inning.
And they begin to stir already in the Royals bullpen. Martinez flied to left field to begin the inning. And who knew then that that was the beginning of a 5-run inning. Dirks walked, and Hud, you thought that maybe was the beginning for Shields, letting Dirks get away, and then Avila singled, Infante singled in a run, Santiago doubled in a run, Jackson doubled in 2, then Hunter struck out, Cabrera singled in a run, and Fielder has singled. And it's 0-2 on Martinez. Well, the Royals in the last 2 games against Seattle, they had early 4-0 and 5-0 deficits. They tied the game on Wednesday and ended up losing, but they came back and won yesterday after falling behind 5-0. So they're facing a good team, but this is nothing new for the Royals, and they have been coming from behind all year. 38 come from behind wins. And it's a pretty steep climb with the league's leader in ERA on the opposing mound.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. However, when you have that type of confidence in your offense and guys fight and scrap and claw, and it's still early in the game, it's still possible.
So Martinez does make the first and last out, but in between, Detroit scores 5, and they lead by 4. Because somebody needs to grab the wheel sooner rather than later. Who will drive the bus this series against the Tigers?
I don't know. You could pick either one of them guys.
All have done well. Billy Butler has driven in the Royals run tonight. And Salvador Perez will lead off against Anibal Sanchez.
Yep, they all need chauffeur's license, though, to drive a bus. But we'll see who can actually step up. Now, I think personally that Hosmer is hard to bet against.
Sal had 6 hits, a home run, 2 RBIs in the Seattle series. Takes a little bit inside, 1 ball, 1 strike. And as we were talking about very early in the game, he survived a scare yesterday, taking another foul ball off the mask, and had to come out of the game early. If I heard Ned Yost correctly, that when Sal came out, he went through a number of tests to make sure he wasn't having another concussion. They said he scored 84 out of 85. Does that mean they check 85 different things if they think you have a concussion?
I don't know much about that test, but maybe we can get Nick Kinney, head athletic trainer, to maybe that's a segment that Joel and Monty could do on the pre or post game show.
Or maybe some things are worth more than one, but I thought that's what I heard him say. Well, it just goes to show that Major League Baseball and sports in general are becoming very serious about concussions.
I think they're learning more about them and what they cause after your playing career.
Here's Nick Kenny, Royals head athletic trainer. One and one on David Lowe. Here's what Ned said after Sal came out yesterday.
He's fine. He feels better. Showed up. You know, when they did all the impact tests that they do after that, he had a score of 84 out of 85. So there was not much concern yesterday, and came back in and was absolutely perfect. Got him in the weight room, did some cardio to get his heart rate up. There was no change, so he's a full go.
Now, am I sick-minded when I wonder what the one was?
No, because it's interesting. He scored 84 out of 85, but we don't have any idea how they grade, so maybe we could find that out.
3-1 on David Lowe. He was 2 out of 11 in the Seattle series with a double, batting at .283. Into shallow center field, where Austin Jackson makes the play, 2 down. So 3 games with the Tigers tomorrow is at 6:10, and then the final game of this series and the homestand is Sunday. And of course, every Sunday is a family fun day Sunday. And bring the kids out. They'll enjoy face painters, balloon artists, kids entertainment by Radio Disney's Road Crew, and much more. Sundays at the ballpark is your family destination. Two down to Gerard Dyson, who drove in 2 big runs for the Royals on Wednesday, and he swings and hits a soft liner to right, and Torrey Hunter will play it on the bounce. So Dyson is on with 2 down. Figure he'll take a shot at second base.
Why not? Hosmer stole the Royals' 131st bag earlier in this game, the first inning. And that leads the league in all of baseball with a success rate of 84%, which is also a high mark. It's not the highest, though. Second highest.
And Avila asks for time. He wants to go through the signs again with Sanchez.
Boston Red Sox are ahead of them as far as success rate goes. They're at 85%. Royals are 84%.
Dyson is 1 stolen base away from his career high. He had 30 last year. And when Lorenzo Cain went on the disabled list in early August, Dyson started getting regular playing time, and nobody has more stolen bases than Dyson does since Cain went on the disabled list. I'm not talking about the Royals, I'm talking about in the game. He is 13 out of 13 in less than a month. And Lorenzo is back from the DL, but the feeling now is that he'll be used mostly on defense and as a pinch runner. Royals still want to be careful with him swinging the bat. Very close. Alfonso Marquez, first base umpire, says that Dyson just got back in time.
Prince Fielder, he has good soft hands, but his glove is on his left hand. Okay, so and Hosmer, his glove's on his right hand. So there's a difference in when you're applying a tag there. It's not a big difference, but there is a difference. Right-handed first baseman has to catch that ball and come a little bit further to try to tag the guy at the bag. When Hosmer, he's already on that side, that left-handed glove just puts it down and up.
One and one. I could see where Sanchez would be tough to run on, because a lot of pitchers, when they come set, the hand goes in the glove high and then the hands come down. You can almost kind of time him going into the set position. Sanchez, he just has his hands near his waist. He's kind of hiding it from the runner. So you really can't. It'd be very difficult to time him. And then he has those quick feet.
Well, the more different varieties of moves, or even just the way they hold the ball, is going to trick the runner into different looks. Like, takes, for example, Sanchez's teammate, Max Scherzer. Scherzer, he has a big leg kick and he's long home.
And that's a shot past Santiago. Dyson will go first to third. And the Royals have 2 on with 2 out.
But when you mix up the looks as a pitcher and hold that ball and then go quick, I mean, it really can confuse a base runner, but not here. This is a little run and hit. And Dyson went on to third base. Now, the outfielders, I'm sure, were told by Leland, these guys go, they take extra bases. Don't fall into their trap. Don't try to throw them out. And really, that's a smart thing. But when you get a young outfielder and he sees that runner trying to take an extra base on him, he wants to throw him out. And sometimes makes a bad throw. The trail runner gets into the base.
Ball 1 on Alex. He doubled up the left field line. Doesn't seem like much now because the Royals are down by 4, but an impressive bottom of the first as Alex doubled. Then a couple of good defensive plays for the Tigers resulted in Alex being out at the plate. But then Eric Hosmer, who reached on a fielder's choice, stole a base with 2 outs, and Billy Butler got him home. So at one point you figured the rally was over, and the Royals put another one together, and now Alex batting with Dyson at third and Escobar over at first. And now Escobar runs as Alex hits it back to the screen. Alex had just 3 hits in the Seattle series, but there were 2 of those were important ones, home runs. And his home run against Joe Saunders yesterday really breathed life into the Royals after they had fallen behind early 5-0. Did he go? He did. So Sanchez gets out of it with a fastball way out of the strike zone. The Royals get a couple of 2-out hits, but Strand 2, the Tigers lead 5-1.
post-game show, joined right now by Juliette Bradley, Communications Director of the Alzheimer's Association here in town, Heart of America chapter. And you guys have over 100 people here tonight dressed in purple, and it's a big month, obviously, in talking about Alzheimer's, raising awareness. Tell us about what everyone's doing out here tonight.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, so we are here to cheer on the Royals, but to let everybody know that when you have somebody in your family that has Alzheimer's disease, or you're a caregiver or a family member, that the Alzheimer's Association is here to help you no matter what you need in your journey.
Well, we're going to see the Tigers get on there. Alcides Escobar couldn't quite pull that one off. Well, the showing here is great. I know that there have been so many stories out there. I was amazed in reading some of the information that 250,000 people, individuals, families affected just here in the bi-state area alone. I mean, that's just a massive number.
That's right. We serve 66 counties in Kansas and Missouri, so we're here to help those people whether they need resources or education or support. We have a great Alzheimer's Association Education Center and an amazing staff to help anybody that's there. The whole point is for them to know that we're there. If they need us, no matter what they need, to call us or get online, alz.org/Kansas City.
So that's how folks can get involved. And, you know, it's a disease that affects so many people, and I know that whether you have a family member, you know a friend, it's something that really can take its toll. And I've got to imagine that those resources you're talking about are for those with the disease, but also for the families, too.
That's right. And one of the things we face is the stigma of Alzheimer's disease. It's really important to let people know that it's okay to ask for help. So, again, if you need anything, whether you are an individual that's been diagnosed or you have a family member, and I guarantee you everybody sitting here at the Royal Stadium tonight knows someone who has Alzheimer's disease or is affected in some way. So it's not a problem to ask for help. It's a really good thing to ask for help.
So what are overall, I mean, not just here in Kansas City and this region, but around the country, around the world, too, what are the goals in this month of September?
Well, more than 5 million Americans have Alzheimer's disease, and it's one of those things that's actually becoming a health epidemic. It's really important to let people know that if you can get an early diagnosis, then you have better alternatives, and you can make some plans and just really get some things in order. So, again, it's just something that you need. When it's time to face it, we're there to help you do that.
And you see all these people out here. You said 117 wearing the purple shirts. I saw everybody walking around before the game out there by rivals. And so I've got to imagine that this is I'm sure a great support group for a lot of people that are going through things, but also, you know, a chance to get out there and do good.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody here has some sort of connection, whether there's somebody in the family that has Alzheimer's or they're a caregiver or they've lost someone to Alzheimer's disease. So this is a great community piece. It's a great way to get involved, and so is our Walk to End Alzheimer's coming up October 6th. So we hope that you can encourage people to join that.
Well, let's do that right now. October 6th is the walk. How can people find out more information about that, how they can help out, whether it be just for the cause, the walk, or get involved? What's the best way to do that?
alz.org/Kansas City. There's a great link right there on the home page for the walk, October 6th at Corporate Woods, whether you walk by yourself or you walk as a team. So just join us in any way you can.
Well, Juliette, we appreciate this whole group being out here in right field, 117 wearing the purple T-shirts, and I know so many people that are watching at home that this really resonates with. Thanks for all the good work, and continue to keep it up.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, well, that is Juliette Bradley, and that is Alex Gordon nearly coming up with the catch. We've seen him make that a bunch of times, and oftentimes making it look easy. Ryan Hubb, let's go back upstairs to you.
All right, thank you, Joel. And, appreciate the work. Having lost a couple of grandparents to Alzheimer's disease, so our family falls into that percentile.
As does ours. We're caretaking right now for my mother-in-law, who's 8 years into it. So they're right. 5 million people, man. It's unbelievable. But how about Alex Gordon's effort there? You know, he never misses on a ball that he dives in. You know, and that's a great effort. That ball, I didn't think he had a chance at it, because that ball's sinking, and he just couldn't quite get it in his glove. But a great effort.
So 9 hits for the Tigers in 2 innings and 2 batters.
Just missed it.
Fastball with some run is in for a strike. Omar Infante has one of the 9 hits. His single drove in a run. And the Tigers 5 runs second, and then he eventually came around to score. Hitting over .440 this year against the Royals.
James Shields executes that two-seam sinker. He could put him in the lane right here.
Instead, into right center field, and the Tigers will all move up just 90 feet. So not everything has been hit hard tonight, but there have been. It seems like when he's made good pitches, the one thing that's hurt him is they've all been up. So the bloops have had enough to travel into the outfield instead of ground balls.
You're right, Ryan, but lots of times they'll hit those pitches at people. But the Tigers are living right, and everything they're hitting is falling. So they're going good. Got to give them offense a little credit because they're not missing his mistakes. And Ned Yost, by getting Luis Mendoza up for the second time in this ball game, it's awfully early. It's evident that James's command is not where he wants to be.
Santiago doubled up the right field line in the 5-run second, drove in a run and scored. And now batting with the bases loaded, nobody out. Boy, it is a rare game, if it's ever happened before, to see 10 hits against James Shields in fewer than 3 innings.
I haven't witnessed it.
Pick off at third, and he got him. Wow, you talk about a bolt out of the blue. You can't blame Andy Dirks for not expecting that, but James Shields and Mike Moustakas get a big out in this inning.
How about that? I mean, he was so fooled, Dirks was, on that, and you don't see that very. Look at, he's already looking home for the pitch. He goes, uh-oh. It's because Brookins, the third base coach, yelled at him, hey, look, they're going to get you. Up, you're gone. Great job. I believe that's the third pickoff from James this year. 2 over at first and 1 there. But you know, this year pitchers haven't been able to fake to third, throw to first. Okay, they outlawed that. So the fact that James just did it straight to third and Moose broke, that's a time play and a beauty.
And of course, pickoffs like that one, timing, and I'm not just talking about the timing between the pitcher and the fielder, but the timing of the game. And it's a 5-1 game, the bases loaded, nobody out. It would be easy to assume that, you know, James Shields could very easily be one bad pitch away from getting out of the game. Be easy to be a runner and think he's not thinking about me. He's thinking about the hitter.
Oh, I mean, that was beautifully done. I would go to say that that's got to be one of the best plays in Major League Baseball tonight. Watch the timing here. Watch Moose move along with the leg kick. Perfect timing. He snuck right in there.
And now a strikeout of Santiago. So that play is even bigger now. 2 down.
I don't know if we've even seen a pickoff at third base like that this year. There's that good two-seam running fastball that ran out of the strike zone. Have you seen a play like that on a highlight somewhere this year?
I want to say we've seen an attempt this year, and it might even have been Shields early in the year. I thought I remembered having a conversation with you about Steve Busby, and he did that several times as a member of the Royals. Picked off the same runner twice in one game at third base with a move like that. But as far as actually getting it out, yes, I think that's a first.
And you know, James has an excellent move at first, and he likes to say that that's like having an extra pitch.
Jackson is 1 for 2 with a 2-run double. And now he's behind 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tigers had the bases loaded with nobody out with a 5-run lead. Shields picks off Dirks. Santiago strikes out. And now Austin Jackson strikes out. So that pickoff play turned the inning around. And as a result, this is still a game.
Got that right. Stay on him.
Strong passion for children, Lori began working with SIDS Resources in 1995 as a way to combine her experience with infant development and grief counseling. The executive director for the last 8 years, Lori oversees the statewide activities, including grief support, outreach, and education, as well as coordinating all administrative and fundraising initiatives, and sitting in the Buck O'Neill legacy seat at tonight's game. How about this? Through their various services, SIDS Resources and other public health organizations have helped lower the incidence of SIDS by 50%.
Ooh. Appreciate that work.
Bonifacio, after an Alex Gordon double in the first inning, bunted him to third. And Sanchez made a nice play on the bunt, making sure it was just a sacrifice and not a hit. Two guys were teammates in Florida, and now Bonifacio goes the other way with a leadoff single.
Staying on top of the ball when you're a speed guy, your percentages of getting on base are a lot better, even if it's right at somebody. Look at that nice level stroke. He stayed on top. That ball was elevated. And what pitchers like to do with guys that have speed is pitch them from the belt up, so they do pop it up and they can't use their speed.
And now Sanchez is worried about Bonifacio, as he should be. 25 stolen bases all year, 13 out of 13 since joining the Royals, and that wasn't that long ago. Not running as Hosmer had a vicious swing and fouled it back. Barrick with Gordon at third in the infield in the first inning. Grounded into a fielder's choice with Alex thrown out at the plate. And then Eric stole second, and Billy Butler got him home for the game's first run. But the Tigers right after that scored 5. And now Bonifacio had a very late reaction to that pickoff and was picked off.
I think he took his eye off Sanchez just for a split second. And when sometimes that happens, the timing's not good. Sanchez showing quick feet. See, he wasn't sure. I mean, he got him by plenty.
And now 1-1 on Hosmer. Now watch it regular speed, Hud. It's like a hesitation.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what he was seeing. And the actual tag by Fielder might have been a little bit tardy, but they beat him by so much they called him out.
.96 mile an hour with that last pitch from Sanchez.
Yeah, that's been impressive. The last pitch of last inning, he struck out Gordon. 97. There's 96. Okay, this is a different angle. Let's see where the tag was made now. Just barely got it. But, you know, base runners, when you dive back in, you go for the far corner. Ooh.
And after all that heat, Sanchez goes with a changeup and has his third strikeout. So we've seen two big pickoff plays in the last two innings. James Shields turned the top of the third around, and then the Royals come back. They've got the leadoff man on. They got something going, middle of the order. And Sanchez picks off a rubber.
Pitchers and catchers, they change their tune when they play the Royals because they know they have such a great running game. So they've been paying a lot more attention. But Sanchez, you know, the command of 4 pitches is one of the reasons he has the lowest ERA in the American League. And that's quite, those are big bragging rights if he can finish the year like that, because the American League is full of mashers. But he's got a cut fastball. He sinks his fastball. Nice curve change, slider. He's got them all, and he's confident with all of them. That's why if you're going to get him, you got to get him early before he settles in, or get to their pin towards the end. Get the pitch count up. But at 43, he's well managed. Him and Avila have done a nice job of keeping that pitch count down.
97 for Sanchez, 95 so far for Shields on the radar gun. You can get downloads up to 50 megabits per second with Time Warner Cable Ultimate Internet. Asking Ned Yost about Sanchez because it's easy to get caught up with Verlander, Cy Young, MVP. Looks like Scherzer's going to win the Cy Young this year with 19 wins. It's easy to forget about Sanchez. And Ned simply said he's just a good pitcher. When you're thinking inside, he throws outside. When you're thinking fastball, he throws you a change. When you're thinking change, he throws you a fastball. It's one of those guys that always seems to be one step ahead of the hitters. And Billy with a late swing and a hot shot line drive into the first row. And thankfully, everybody's all right. There's a perfect example right there. You don't see Billy Butler late on a pitch like that unless it's perhaps a pitch he wasn't expecting. Three and two. And Billy walks with 2 down. That is Sanchez first.
So 7 straight times now Billy has reached base in a row.
Well, let's see if the Royals can come through again with 2 outs. Mike Moustakas grounded out to Fielder in the first inning. And a curveball in for a strike. Tigers have made 2 very good trades the last 2 years to get a starting pitcher. They got Doug Fister from the Mariners, and nobody made a big deal out of that. He's been excellent for them. And then Sanchez coming over from the Marlins. And he was just dazzling for them in the postseason. And then got the big contract during the offseason.
Yeah, so you know, the way they're going, their 3 and 4 pitchers they've got starters. As good a chance as any to go all the way.
One and 2 on Moustakas. Doug Fister was 3-12 for the Mariners 2 years ago. Tigers traded for him, and he went 8-1 with a 1.79. Ooh. And Sanchez, after that soap opera like season in Florida last year, was traded to the Tigers. They eventually went to the World Series, and his ERA in the postseason was 1.7. ...2006 Rookie of the Year, Anibal Sanchez. He threw a no-hitter that year. He almost threw a no-hitter this year. There's Justin Verlander. He and Max Scherzer get most of the national attention when you're talking about the Tigers. And Avila, who has suffered a concussion because of a foul ball this year, takes one off the bat of Moustakas.
And the one that he took off that put him on the disabled list, we're going to show it to you. It was not pretty. Watch what he does. He turns his head. We'll show you. Kind of like the one Salvi's been getting. And now his ears, you know, the shock went all the way to his jaw to his ear. Ooh, nasty.
4 strikeouts. The pickoff was big for him. Royals strand a runner at the end of 3. Detroit leads 5-1. And their Bacon a Difference charity concert. All tickets are $10 with all proceeds benefiting harvesters. Go to baconadifference.com.
Oh, I'm surprised that concert's not sold out already, folks. Come on. It's a great cause and great tunes. And we'll go see the King. Richard Petty will be there.
Torrey Hunter jumps on the first pitch and hits it into left center field, and it gets past Gerard Dyson, and Hunter is at second base with nobody out. First pitch breaking ball, and he was all over it.
So here they go again. Okay, it's a ball's elevated. Hunter with a nice soft step, kept his hands back a click, and then threw him.
And now that skips past Sal and goes to the screen. So a double and a wild pitch. And right away, a runner at third with nobody out.
I mean, you know, you almost would think that maybe some of the Tigers have James's pitches or something, because they're not missing anything.
No, we haven't seen an off-balance swing, which even when Shields isn't at his best, I mean, you're still going to see quite a few bad swings at his changeup.
Yeah, I mean, they're on him.
I mean, I know this is the big leagues, and we're talking about the best hitters in the world, but I don't know if Shields has thrown a curveball all night, and Torrey Hunter was ready for it on the first pitch of the inning.
Yeah, this is a team that leads the league in hits and batting average. They're second in runs scored, RBIs, on base percentage, and slugging.
Goes with a slider to make it 3-1. Cabrera singled to left, drove in a run in the Tigers' 5-run second inning, and then Shields struck him out with a changeup in the first. And that might have been the worst swing by a Tigers hitter tonight. 3-2. Chris Davis of the Orioles has 47 home runs to Cabrera's 43. And that's probably the only stat that's going to get in the way of Cabrera winning a Triple Crown for a second straight year. And now he'll take a walk, putting runners at the corners with nobody down.
'78th walk on the year for Cabrera. 17 of those intentional.
You see Ned Yost motioning to the infield. He wants the infield to play in, or at least part of the infield to play in. And they're halfway on the left side for Prince Fielder, who pulls it foul. 0-1. Torrey Hunter doubled. He went to third on a wild pitch. Miguel Cabrera walked. Tigers batting in the fourth inning with nobody out have had 13 base runners. 14. And they have a 6-1 lead. And again, a changeup and a balanced swing by Fielder as he drives in Torrey Hunter. So Victor Martinez, who is 0 for 2, and he did that in 1 inning, making the first and the last out of a 5-run second inning. Slider is down and in, ball one. Just foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Talking about Victor Martinez's knee injury after the 2011 season. And it was that injury that led to the Tigers getting Prince Fielder.
They had to try to replace him with a left-handed bat some way, but they had to pay for him. Prince was a free agent.
And there was no talk about Prince Fielder possibly joining the Tigers. The Rangers came up. The Nationals came up. Right center field. And Cabrera is not going to tag. And he was letting Prince Fielder know.
As the ball was in flight.
You know, there are times you get glimpses of why Miguel Cabrera is so good beyond his natural ability. Sometimes he does things that are just so calm on the field. You often see him smiling and laughing while he's standing at third base on defense in a very critical part of the game.
He keeps it simple and he has fun. He enjoys himself. And that's when a player plays his best.
So 2 on 1 out to Andy Dirks. On one hand, he's had a good night. He walked and scored. And that walk in the second inning was the beginning of a 5-run inning. And then he singled leading off the third. But with the bases loaded and nobody out, James Shields picked him off of third base. And what would the score be right now if Shields didn't get that pickoff? Really turned the inning around. It gave Shields a shot of energy, and he ended up striking out Santiago and Jackson. And there's a base hit into center field. And Miguel Cabrera is one stage above walking right now on the bases.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even a jog.
No, he's just playing it safe. Sure, he has the blessings of Jim Leyland. He sees that throw hit off the side of the mound, and he says, hey, look, I'm coming home. Not really. He's had calf injuries this year, oblique, hip. He's had a lot of different things. Stomach muscle. Cabrera.
So the bases loaded, 1 down to Alex Avila, who has a couple of hits. Well, somewhere Yogi Berra is smiling because it's deja vu all over again for James Shields. 13 hits allowed by Shields is the second most he's allowed in his entire career. The most was 14 last year against the Tigers.
Last time he faced Detroit in Detroit, team won 3-0. He went 7 innings. Gave up 3 hits, just 3 hits.
Blocked by Perez, 1-2 on Avila. Good changeup. So he needed that strikeout. That's 5. And Avila's out for the first time.
Yep, now he's putting that changeup where he wants it. That's what we're used to. Down, down, down. That's where he is most effective.
Now the game where he gave up 14 hits, that was the end of June last year against the Tigers. He went 7 2/3 innings, and he only gave up 4 runs. He has allowed 13 hits tonight in 3 2/3 innings. Omar Infante has 2 hits, and now he backs out. Down and away, ball 1. Just outside, 2-0. This will be pitch number 90. Out of play. Probably not something that Shields will celebrate immediately, but if he gets through this inning, he will be right at 200 innings for the year, and that would be his 7th consecutive season with at least 200 innings. Leads the American League with the 199 2/3. Left side, that's a base hit. Cabrera scores. Fielder will be held at third. The Tigers lead 7-1, and he will not reach 200 innings tonight as Ned Yost comes out. And with the Royals down by 6, he'll bring on Luis Mendoza.
Yep, tough night for James. Just missing up in the strike zone, and the Tigers weren't missing at all. They were staying on it.
So Mendoza and a Chevy call to the bullpen. He'll inherit the bases loaded with 2 down. Second inning, and a 2-run force so far. Luis Mendoza comes on, and he inherits 3 base runners right away. He has to get 1 out as he pitches to Ramon Santiago. Santiago has driven in 1 of the 7 runs, and in that 5-run second hit an RBI double and came around to score. And then Shields struck him out in the third.
Okay, Luis Mendoza, he's a sinker baller. Now he's relies on keeping his ball down, kind of like James does. You'd hope he could hold him right there. He's got a nice big curve ball. Changeup.
Blocked by Sal, and it's 1-2.
Nice job of blocking that ball there. Big target.
Fielder and Infante have driven in the runs in this inning. And in the game, Jackson has driven in 2. Cabrera 1, Fielder 1. Infante 2, and Santiago at the plate has driven in 1. And blocked again by Perez. 2-2. Three and two.
Okay, got to challenge him right here. Make him put it in play. Make him earn it.
All the runners go, and they will all advance. It's 8-1 on the bases loaded walk to Santiago. And for the second time tonight, the Tigers will bat around. Austin Jackson 1 for 3 with a 2-run double in the second inning. In this batter's box 3 years ago, Austin Jackson got his first major league hit against Robinson Tejeda, who was pitching out of the Royals bullpen. It was opening day here at Kauffman Stadium. And that year, Austin Jackson finished second in the American League Rookie of the Year voting. Neftali Feliz of the Rangers ended up with American League Rookie of the Year. The Texas Rangers went to the World Series. Austin Jackson finished second.
He's really done a nice job, though, of adjusting. You know, he was really high on the strikeouts his first couple of years. He swung and missed at almost everything. He had a big leg kick, and like a flamingo kick, where he pick his leg up and put it down, but his timing, he couldn't find it. So Lloyd McClendon, the hitting coach for the Tigers, got together with him and said, hey, look, we need to do something. You're our leadoff guy. We need you on base for these sluggers. So just keep your foot down. And he's done a real good job. He just barely picks it up and goes to his toe now.
How about that save?
Great hands. He just picked it.
Off of Moustakas' glove and into left field. 1 run will score. Alex's throw to the plate is short. And the Tigers have taken a 10-1 lead in the 4th inning. They have a pair of 5-run innings.
Wow. Didn't see that coming. It's a sinking fastball that just stayed up. Short, quick swing.
So second time in the last 3 innings that a Tigers hitter has batted twice in the same inning. And Torrey Hunter started all this with a double jumping on a first pitch curveball from Shields and came around to score the first run of the inning. Back in the second, Victor Martinez in a completely different scenario. He made the first and the last out of the same inning. One and two.
Talk about a shock the houser in the wrong way. I mean, we haven't seen pitching staff all year do this.
How many times do you think James Shields in his great career has given up 10 or more earned runs?
I couldn't tell you.
Take a guess. Take a guess.
I'm going to say once in his career.
So tonight was the second one? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm going to say this is the second time. Just a guess.
Did he go? Yes. And that might be a 10-1 call by first base umpire Alfonso Marquez. Well, he might be shocked. It was the fourth time in his career.
Wow.
But that has as much to do with how many innings he pitches. I'm sure there are a few take one for the teams in there. Bread, try pasta the Panera way. Live consciously, eat deliciously. By Ford, see the new F-150 at your Midwest Ford dealer today. And by ATT Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-ATT. Rethink possible. That's right, 10-1 as the Royals come up in the bottom of the fourth inning. So Anibal Sanchez, whose last loss was 9 starts ago, and that was against the Royals right here at Kauffman Stadium. Broken bat, one hop, and Santiago will throw out Sal. One away. Sal is 0 for 2. Now, Anibal Sanchez, on one hand, has never won here at Kauffman Stadium. On the other hand, his 2 losses were both 1-0, as he was outpitched this year in a 1-0 loss by Irvin Santana, and last year by Bruce Chen. So 0-2, but a 1.38 ERA.
Yeah, that's getting it done. But good pitching has kept his Tigers down offensively.
Austin Jackson into left center field, and he takes care of David Lowe, who flies to Jackson for a second time. Well, we're about a little over 3 weeks left in the regular season, and parents, there's still time to sign your kids up for Slugger's Blue Crew, brought to you by the Learning Quest 529 Education Savings Program. Members receive a gray batting practice jersey, a Royals hat, blue wristbands, priority access for the Sunday Fun Run, and much more. Now, membership has been reduced to $15 for an end of the year sale. So go to Royals.com/Blue Crew. Dyson single to right his first time up.
Oops.
Your thoughts?
A little indecisive.
Yeah, he's wrenching his wrist. That's the kind of swing that could hurt a wrist or a hand.
You got that right.
Or both. That is a 6-pitch inning for Anibal Sanchez and his 5th strikeout. And at the end of 4, Detroit leads the Royals 10-1. The last installment of T-Shirt Tuesday is September 17th when Cleveland will be at Kauffman Stadium. The first 10,000 fans will receive this green KC Shamrock T-shirt, courtesy of the Kansas City Irish Fest. The gates will open at 5:30. Royals.com, 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. Pulled foul by Miguel Cabrera. And in a 10-1 game in the 5th inning, Ned Yost, whose #1 catcher, has been dinged up a bit. Gets Salvador Perez out of there. George Kataris will take over.
Taking advantage to get a breather for him anytime you can.
Well, no sympathy on the part of the Tigers. Remember, 2 nights ago they lost in Boston 20-4, and at one point that was a 4-4 game. The Red Sox hit 8 home runs in that game, which is the most ever allowed by the Tigers, and they scored 15 runs over the last 3 innings.
Wow.
So how about that? It was 5-4 until the last 3 innings.
Yeah, you know, I saw the highlights of that, and that was amazing. The radio broadcaster Dan Dickerson was saying all those home runs were tape measures, too. There wasn't one cheapie, even though a home run's a home run. Very unusual. That's baseball, though. I expected another low-scoring game, just like Anibal Sanchez's record shows here. You know, he's had 2 losses and given up hardly any runs at all, and then our guys have shut their team totally down. Not tonight.
So 11 runs have been scored in 4 innings, and we told you at the top of the broadcast that this season series has one of the lowest scoring season series in all of Major League Baseball. The combined scores in the first 13 games on average have added up to fewer than 7 runs, 6.62 runs per game.
Yeah, it's such close games, and never would have expected it tonight.
How about that? The only American League Series that has scored fewer runs, the Royals and the White Sox. And now Miguel Cabrera will walk for a second time tonight, on for the third time. That gives him 79 walks on the year and puts his on-base percentage close to .450. 45% of the time he comes to the plate, he ends up on base. Prince Fielder, 2 hits and drove in a run with a single. Tigers scored 5 in the second, 5 in the fourth. And 10 runs charged to James Shields, although 3 of those runs scored after he was out of the game. Now remember, the Royals, even though it's September and they have a bullpen full of arms, they used 16 pitchers in the final 2 games against Seattle. Royals could use that. How about Prince Fielder running hard? 4-6-3 double play.
Yeah, I like to see that. He's a healthy one out there. Hey, Mendoza's got that sinker ball working on that time. That's what you call running out your frustration. You could tell Prince was not happy with that, but you're running the frustration out.
You'd have been proud yesterday, Hud. 42-year-old Henry Blanco, backup catcher for the Seattle Mariners, who became a professional 24 years ago. Hit a routine fly ball to left field in his first at bat, and I mean, he was running like he was running for his life. And it was an out. I mean, as soon as he hit it, you knew it was an out. He went flying up the line, made a turnaround first base. 42 years old, running as hard as he could.
Yeah, you know, that's impressive. That tells you how much he loves the game. Got respect for it.
Bonifacio can't quite get there, and Victor Martinez is on with 2 outs. That's his first hit. All right, time for our AT&T trivia question for tonight. Who are the 2 Tigers tied for the most career home runs against the Royals? How about Cecil Fielder?
Ooh, good call.
I'm told that's incorrect. Well, how about the guys that were around for a long time? How about Trammell or Whitaker?
I was just going there. How about Al Kaline?
I think Al Kaline's career ended too soon to play a lot of games against the Royals.
Okay.
When did his career end? 2-1 on Andy Dirks, who has walked. He has singled twice and he scored 2 runs. Let's see, Al Kaline. Yeah, 1974. So, well, he would have played 6 years against the Royals.
Yeah, now it's not Tom Brookins.
Moustakas backhands, long throw from his heels, and Andy Dirks beats it out for an infield single.
Wow.
So he's on for a 4th time.
Yeah, he is. 3rd hit. He smelt that too the minute he hit it. Moose is playing him over towards the hole at shortstop, so he had a long way to go and was off balance, did all he could do.
Ten runs, 17 hits for the Tigers, and we're in the 5th inning. Alex Avila singled and scored in the 2nd inning. and then singled in the third.
You know, Miguel Cabrera hasn't been with the Tigers long enough. So he'd be a good guess, but I don't think he's had enough time. Not Kirk Gibson. He didn't have a lot of time.
How about Bobby Higginson?
Ooh.
Do we have any of them? Wow. None of those guesses are correct. Two and 0.
How about Lance Parrish?
How about Lance Parrish? Nothing. Good job, Hud. No, it's not Lance Parrish. 3-0. How about Chet Lemon? Larry Herndon.
Darrell Evans.
He wasn't with the Tigers very long. Now Alex Avila walks and the bases are loaded with 2 down. And that's the third walk allowed by Mendoza. First man he faced when he inherited the bases loaded in the 4th inning for Shields. He walked Santiago. And now a walk to begin this inning. That walk was erased when Fielder grounded into a double play. Now a walk loads him up for Infante, who is 3 for 3. Mickey Tettleton.
He had a lot of power.
Martinez at third, Dirks at second, Avila at first. And ball 1. Travis Fryman.
That's a good guess. They all been good guesses, I think. But
Deep left field. And Alex to the track. It hits the top of the wall. And they're going to rule that it stayed in. The Tigers are going to argue they have at least 3 runs. There was a fan out there with a glove. And I'm assuming we'll get a replay challenge. But at the moment it is 13-1 Detroit on a 3-run double from Infante, and Jim Leyland is going to argue that that ball was touched by a fan or landed on the other side of the wall.
And you know, he's doing this to protect his player. That's what he's doing it for. He's not out there begging, trying to run the score up. He just is protecting Infante. And you know, any player would love a grand slam. Are you kidding? Some guys never have one their entire career. So that's all he's doing. He's asking them to go check because they have the luxury of a replay on home run balls. Let's see it.
Well, it hit the fan. It appeared it hit the fan's glove first, but the glove was in front of the wall.
Yeah, it looked like it stayed in. Didn't hit the top.
So at the moment it's a 3-run double. Here's another look. Yeah, it never went over the fence, and I think what they'll be looking at is if it went over the fence, number 1, and number 2, if it hit the fan's glove, which it did, where was the fan's glove? Was it in front of the padding or was it behind the padding? And I think the video evidence would suggest 2 for 2 as far as it being a double.
This right here, you'll be able to see it here. Well, yeah, I thought we would, but it did not hit the top. It's a tough view there.
So, of course, the way replay is right now, this is the only thing that can be reviewed. Next year will be completely different. There will be several different plays that can be reviewed. Now, the Tigers, I'm sure they already know. I'm sure somebody from their video crew has told them that it was not a home run. And it looks like, at least to me, Jim Leyland is out to greet the umpires as they come out from the room where they're looking at the video screen.
He just, as Leyland walked out to talk to Tom Brookins, his third base coach, he looked at Cabrera and motioned to Cabrera like, look, I'm going to keep, you're out of the game. I think he's going to do the same thing that Ned did with Salvador Perez, give him some rest.
Yep, Jim Leyland waved at the umpires as if to say, okay, somebody told me it didn't go over. Thanks for checking. And it's a 3-run double for Infante. So he has driven in 5, and he's 4 for 4. (13-1) Detroit in the top of the 5th inning. And now ball 1-2 Santiago, number 9 hitter. He is driven in 2 and scored a run. Third time in Infante's career that he has driven in 5, which is his career high. One and one on Santiago. Tigers, in losing 20-4 on Wednesday, that was the first time an opponent had scored 20 runs against them in 9 years. And in 2004, the Royals beat the Tigers in Detroit 26-5. Now, I'll always remember that day because it was a doubleheader. And the Royals scored 26 runs in Game 1, and they were shut out in Game 2 by Jeremy Bonderman. So the most runs the Royals have ever scored in a doubleheader is 26, and they got all of them in one game.
Amazing. That's a long day. Was that a day and night doubleheader?
I want to say that was just a traditional doubleheader.
20 minutes in between games.
Yep. Joe Randa had a 6-hit game in that Game 1 of the doubleheader. Bonifacio will take care of Santiago, and that's the inning. So the Tigers add 3 on the Infante double, and they lead 13-1. A reminder as you enjoy a cold one to look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Don Kelly takes over in right field for Torrey Hunter, but Miguel Cabrera is still in the game.
Okay. Thought Jim Leyland might put him out.
Oh, 0-2 on Alcides Escobar. He's singled to left center field in the second inning. Royals actually scored first. And in the first inning, Billy Butler drove in Eric Hosmer. Sanchez got around a couple of singles in the second and worked around a single and a walk in the third. And needed just 6 pitches to get to the Royals in the fourth. Escobar's single put an end to a personal 0 for 13. Still 0-2.
You know, it's amazing with this rally that we've been seeing by the Tigers. A hit fest, 18 hits, 13 runs. It's been a long time for in between innings for Sanchez. From the second inning on. Second, third, fourth, fifth. Even though the Tigers didn't score any runs in the third, had a lot of guys on. Sometimes pitcher waits in that dugout a long time, he messes him up a little bit, but not Sanchez tonight.
Legs start to get a little heavy. Arm starts to get a little heavy.
Sitting there for a long time.
He's not very tall. He's put together, but he is listed at 6 feet. And he might be 6 feet. But he is 205 pounds.
He's got the mechanics and the pitches.
Left center field, Andy Dirks is out there to bring it down for the out. Well, have we made any progress with the trivia question? Did we get any of them right?
All those names. Well, how about Willie Horton? Bill Freehan.
Craig Monroe. How about that? Al with a combination of a deke move by using somebody in the game whom we wouldn't expect. And Craig Monroe, we could have stayed here all night. I never would have come up with Craig Monroe.
Me neither. I hated tipping my cap. And most players do to their opponents. But I got to tip it to Al tonight for getting this. Although I did mention Cabrera, didn't make him an official guest.
You did,
though.
yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, but we didn't get
But
the other
Craig Monroe, no chance.
No. Way to go, Al.
Broken bat. And Infante is out, and that'll drop for a base hit. So Alex has a 2-hit game.
That little jam shot. Bat died a hero. That fell in nicely for him. Ooh. 3-piece shot. Chip shot.
And now Bonifacio, who has a single and a sac bunt. He was also picked off by Sanchez in the third inning. They can start thinking about, where does Bonifacio fit in 2014 with the Royals? He can play second base. He can play some shortstop. He can play third. We've seen him in center field. He was not playing well He was not hitting well with the Toronto Blue Jays when the Royals acquired him. The scoreboard says he is hitting .240. So that's what he's done all year. But with the Royals, Bonifacio is hitting over .310, and his on-base percentage is about .380 since joining the Royals. And with his speed, that makes him a completely different player.
And playing time is good for timing, so he's been able to get regular at bats. Those numbers are going to be better here. But there seems to be an opening at second base. Maybe they'll let him play there. I don't know. I have no idea. Haven't really even wanted to think about next year because it's so, they're still in it. Even after this stinker.
Had him reaching, and he pops it up. And Infante makes the play, 2 down. So Eric Hosmer with runner at first, 2 down. He scored a run and has a stolen base. And the fans have gone with him 52% as far as who will drive the bus in this series against the Tigers. And he was on his way. That stolen base was key in the first inning, leading to the Royals' first run, and they had a 1-0 lead. But Detroit has since scored 13, and now he pulls one to the right side, and Infante runs to the grass and makes a very athletic play to throw Hosmer out. So 1 run in 5 innings allowed by Sanchez with a big lead. Thoroughbred Ford. For the best deals on new Ford cars and trucks, visit thoroughbredford.com. (13-1) Tigers. A 5-run second inning, a 5-run fourth, and a 3-run fifth. And now big changes for Ned Yost. Carlos Pena replaces Eric Hosmer. Lorenzo Cain comes in for Alex Gordon. He goes into right. David Lowe moves over to left. So Cain batting in Gordon's spot. Lowe moving to his position, and Pedro Siriaco is now the shortstop for Alcides Escobar. Oh, 0-2 from Mendoza to Austin Jackson, who has a 4 RBI game. Right center field, and Cain makes the play. Well, we hope you'll come out for the night where we salute you, the fans, for all of your loyalty and support this season of Royals baseball. Fan Appreciation Night is Saturday, September 21st Texas Rangers are here for a 6:10 game. You'll enjoy a night of games, giveaways, and great prizes. And also the first 10,000 fans will receive a Royals blanket, courtesy of Academy Sports and Outdoors. Gates open at 4:30. Royals.com, 1-800-6-ROYALS for tickets. Don Kelly bats for the first time and slices it up the left field line. David Lowe with a tumbling play inside the line to take a hit away from Kelly.
Oh, man, and he got him a nice Trevor Turf souvenir. Look at all those green. Boy, a nice sliding catch. Got some of that green grass on him and a little bit of the dirt. Good focus. He attacked that ball. He went right to it. Great play.
So Miguel Cabrera with 2 outs, nobody on. Great moment here last year. The Tigers finished the regular season at Kauffman Stadium, our AT&T U-verse rewind, and it was here where Miguel Cabrera made it official. He was the first Triple Crown winner since 1967. And the fans gave him a couple of standing ovations. And he admitted that when the year was over and he looked back on the individual thrills of that great run, he said getting a standing ovation on the road here at Kauffman Stadium was near the top of the list.
Sure was. Highlight of his career. Way to go. Show your class, Kauffman Stadium fans.
That's Danny Worth taking over at third base for Miguel Cabrera. And in a 13-1 game, Jim Leyland, I guess, trying to help his slugger win the Triple Crown. He needs to catch up to at least 4 home runs of Chris Davis of the Orioles. And so after he was out in the top of the 6th inning, Jim Leyland made the change. And now Billy Butler is retired on a ground ball against Anibal Sanchez. That's the first time Billy has been retired. RBI single and a walk his first 2 times up. Our Sonic Slam inning contestant is Chris Lauver from Lake Wacomas. And if the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Chris wins $1,100. If the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Chris wins $25,000 from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals. Mike Moustakas is 0 for 2. 1-1. Sanchez, he's still pitching. Be easy to assume in a 12-run game that he's just going to say, here you go, but he's still mixing in all of his pitches.
Yep, all of them. He's done that from the very first inning on.
First signed by the Boston Red Sox, Anibal Sanchez, and then went to the Marlins in that big trade which involved Josh Beckett, Mike Lowell going from the Marlins to Boston, and those two helped the Red Sox win a World Series in 07. Sanchez along with Hanley Ramirez. A lot of people forget that Hanley Ramirez is actually originally from the Red Sox organization. Went to Florida. Very high into center field. Jackson makes a play, 2 down in the 6th. Mentioned that Sanchez in his rookie year threw a no-hitter against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Twice in his career he's lost a no-hitter in the 9th inning, including this year against Minnesota. Joe Mauer broke it up. Sanchez had a 17 strikeout game earlier this year. That was against the Braves, and that was a Tigers team record, 17 strikeouts in one game.
It's pretty simple. There's not a lot of moving parts, but I like his hip turn. That's one thing that he hides the ball well. One thing that hitters look for is the ball as soon as they can pick it up. Watch his hip turn. See that? He's got an extreme hip turn, and then he comes straight down right over the top. And same arm angle with all of his pitches.
Gutierrez has a 2-out single. That was his first at bat. And now David Lowe, who slid to center twice. Ball one from Sanchez. Sanchez spent a little bit of time this year on the disabled list with a right shoulder strain. It's the 3rd time in his career he's had some problems with his shoulder. He has had surgery on that shoulder in the past. It hasn't bothered him since, and it hasn't bothered him tonight. 6 innings, 1 run, and the Tigers have supported him and then some with a 13-1 lead. As you'd imagine, in a 13-1 game, all Tigers. They have batted around twice in a 5-run second and in a 5-run fourth. Omar Infante has tied a career high with 5 RBIs. And you won't see a line like that from James Shields hardly ever.
Hope to not see it again.
Jamie Carroll has taken over third base for Mike Moustakas. And Siriaco goes sliding on the grass. But Prince Fielder has a base hit to center field. He has a 3-hit game. And the Tigers have a 19-hit game. And now Prince Fielder is going to come out for a pinch runner. Matt Tuiasosopo. And Victor Martinez is 1 for 4 with a run scored. All of the starting 9 have scored at least 1 run. Andy Dirks has scored 3. And Alex Avila has scored 2. Omar Infante has scored 2. And as far as RBIs, Austin Jackson 4. Miguel Cabrera 1. Prince Fielder 1. Omar Infante 5. And Ramon Santiago 2.
Yeah, but never would have expected a spring training like game in game 1 of this 3-game series with a lot on the line. But it's kind of turned into that way. Get a lot of the extra guys in, give them an opportunity to play.
Two and 1. And pass Bonifacio to give the Tigers 20 hits. Second hit for Victor Martinez.
Hey, that ball's elevated right up to the strike zone. Bonifacio almost got to it. Dirks is having a night. A lot of guys are. He's already got 3 hits and a walk.
And another base hit. And it should be another run. Tuiasosopo is around third. 21 hits, 14 runs for the Tigers. That's the most hits the Royals have allowed this year. They give up 18 to the Orioles back in July.
So that beat down the Tigers took in Boston, they're paying it back on the Royals here.
It's also the most runs allowed by the Royals this year. They had allowed 11 to the Nationals on the previous homestand, but that game they lost 11-10. And Luis Mendoza is taking one for the team here. Remember, the Royals used 8 pitchers in a 13-inning game yesterday, and they used 8 pitchers in a 9-inning game on Wednesday.
Yeah, so he's leaving Mendoza in as long as he possibly can.
Bonifacio, Siriaco, Pena.
just what Dave Island told him to do. He said, come on. Little ground ball double play here.
Second double play for the Royals, and now Infante. 5 RBIs, ties a career high. He's done it 3 times. And he has a runner at third with 2 down. Came very close to hitting a grand slam in the 5th inning. Hit the very top edge of the padding in left center field. There was also some fan interference with fan reaching over with his glove. There was a video review and the umpire's call stood, and it was a 3-run double. Two and one. Omar Infante, when he first came up with the Tigers, a very flashy shortstop. Ended up moving over to second base. Traded away, came back to the Tigers last year.
Well, they liked his veteran leadership. They liked what he could do out on the field. He's not disappointing with the bat either. He went on the disabled list, got taken out at second base in Toronto. He was out for at least 15 days, and he came back, and man, you know, he limped. He wasn't at 100%, but his bat never slowed down. He had 353 since he's come off the disabled list.
That looked like an ugly injury, too. Colby Rasmus of the Blue Jays slid into his right ankle. That was similar to when Jose Reyes injured himself here, where it looked a lot worse than it actually was. We didn't think Reyes was going to be able to come back.
As soon as he did, anyway.
Yeah. Base hit left field, so a new career high, 6 RBIs for Omar Infante in a 5-for-5 game. So his first career 6 RBI game, his first career 5-hit game.
Man, I'll tell you what, if you're going to get 5 hits in a game, you might as well have 6 stakes attached to it. That's beautiful. Look at the hitters hitting with scoring position tonight for Detroit. Wow. 5 hits. Billy had 5 hits in yesterday's game.
Mm-hmm. Santiago is driven in 2. One of them was a bases loaded walk. In fact, that was the first man that Mendoza faced when he came on in the 4th inning. 1-1. Left center field, Lowe and Dyson, and David Lowe brings it down for out number 3. 2 runs in the 7th inning for Detroit. Tonight, USAA would like to pay special recognition to all of our service members at home and abroad.
Kauffman Stadium as Panera takes us around the league, and we begin with Jarrod Dyson leading off. And the bad news for the Royals, Cleveland wins 8-1. The Yankees were winning over Boston, but the Red Sox have stormed back, so that's good. Scott Feldman tosses his first career shutout. The White Sox giving the Royals no help whatsoever of late. And we don't see that too often, but Jarrod Dyson, they get him there on the high throw over to Anibal Sanchez for the first out of the inning. Other scores, Toronto on top of Minnesota. Texas out in front early against Los Angeles. Oakland on top of Houston. And so, tough night for the Royals, and the results overall not looking so good either. But Tiger Man, who always wears that suit, that cat suit, and those sunglasses at night, seems to be enjoying it. Ryan?
Corey Hart.
He wears the sunglasses at night?
Yep, he does.
Most hits allowed by the Royals in a game since August 6, 2006, when they allowed 22 to Minnesota. I'm sure, Ryan, that in your big blue book of knowledge, every detail is there.
I don't remember that one, to be perfectly honest with you.
Oh, Dallas Perez, Todd Wellemeyer, and company.
Pedro Siriaco. This is his first at-bat as a member of the Royals. Siriaco played 76 games last year with the Red Sox, some of those games against the Royals. He's also been in the big leagues previously with the Pirates. Two balls, one strike. Let me take that back. He batted yesterday. Royals have used him previously in the field and as a pinch runner, but was 0 for 1 yesterday in that 13-inning game with Seattle. Danny Worth bobbles, and that will cost him an error, maybe an infield hit.
Siriaco, he'll take that hit. He runs well, but they're going to give him an error.
And now Lorenzo Cain, first plate appearance since coming back from the disabled list. Lorenzo went down on August the 10th with a strained left oblique. So that would be ribcage muscles on his front side facing the pitcher. Trying so hard this year, and especially during the offseason, to stay off of the disabled list. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, and a great conditioning program in the offseason. But that's still no guarantee. But the core muscles that you have in your abs and your lower back, that's all really important, especially in baseball, twisting and turning. So sometimes it takes a long time to heal.
Well, he hasn't had any problems with his legs as he did last year, and that was where all the training came into play. Remember early in the season he injured his left groin.
Right.
And then while he was on the disabled list, he tore his left hip flexor. And then in the middle of September, the Royals shut him down for the rest of the year because of a right hamstring injury. Out to Santiago, and throwing on the run just in time.
Well, he didn't look like he was bothering him running at all there. He was really getting down that line.
So Siriaco's at second base, 2 down.
Santiago, good quick release there.
And now Bonifacio. That's off the plate, and that'll be a tough play. Infante. Close, but out. Bonifacio is 1 for 3. So not lost with all the Tigers' offense. Anibal Sanchez gives up 1 run in 7 innings. The Royals, Fox Sports, and the state of Missouri are teaming up to help you stop smoking. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. And Royals baseball is brought to you by Ram Trucks. And more changes for the Royals. Bonifacio made the final out of the bottom of the 7th is out. Johnny Giavotella, who started at second base yesterday, will take over there, and Lewis Coleman is the third Royals pitcher in a Chevy call to the bullpen. And strike 1 to Austin Jackson. Lewis Coleman has been outstanding with the Royals this year. Been up a few times, but if you add all the numbers up, he has allowed 1 earned run in 23 2/3 innings with 24 strikeouts.
Very impressive. He's doing it with a nasty slider. And he's got a couple of different angles on it, but also his fastball is pretty sneaky. He's getting a little bit more sink to it. He's hitting his spots. He's pitching with a sense of urgency. Like to see the way he goes at hitters.
And that's blooped into right field, a base hit. 3 for Jackson, 23 for the Tigers.
They just haven't stopped.
Don Kelly hits for the second time. Anytime a pitcher has a throwing motion like Lewis Coleman, there's a story behind it. There are very few. If you go watch a Little League game or an American Legion game or a high school game, you rarely will see a pitcher throwing like that. Usually a motion like that comes in the college years, and that's what happened for Coleman. As the Tigers have another hit, and the first for Don Kelly. Lewis Coleman going to Louisiana State, and he started throwing with that arm angle his junior season. He was a traditional thrower through his freshman season in college, and as he put it, he just wasn't getting any hitters out. Nick Castellanos will run at second base for Austin Jackson. So when you're not getting any hitters out, and in Coleman's case, when you have a scholarship, it's trying try something new. So his sophomore season, he started throwing similar to the way he throws now. And he still wasn't getting hitters out. So he went to, for a while, the Dan Quisenberry submarine style. And he said there were times his angle was so low that he would scrape his knuckles on the dirt of the mound.
Man, that's way low. But he's found a happy medium.
Well, even with the submarine style, and Lewis has a very good dry sense of humor, he said, I still wasn't getting hitters out. And he thought his coach was going to take away his scholarship after his sophomore season. So he persuaded his coach to give him another chance, and he found the angle where he pitches now. And not only did he keep his scholarship, in 2009, he was the SEC Pitcher of the Year, and he was on the mound for the final out when LSU beat Texas in the College World Series.
Cool.
Trying everything.
I didn't know they could take a scholarship from you. Guess they can.
Hot shot to Jamie Carroll. Out at second base. Giovitella to Pena for 2. And on the play, Castellanos goes to third.
That's a nice atom ball, but man, I tell you, no matter what Royals pitcher's coming in tonight, the Tigers are so hot, they're hitting everything. Well, I'm going to hit it at somebody right there. Nice play by Carroll. Gio with an easy turn.
Royals have turned 3 double plays tonight. And now Tuiasa Sopo. And a slider's in for a strike. One and one. Tuiasa Sopo ran for Fielder in the 7th inning and came around to score. Two and two. He went around. So Coleman gives up back-to-back singles to begin the inning, and then he gets a double play and a strikeout for a scoreless top of the 8th. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Sanchez, he leads the American League with ERA. It's a low one, but he's shown why. He's mixing up all 4 of his pitches this afternoon. He's been working really good this evening even. And he's getting the ball by Royals hitters with no problem. And it helped that they spotted him 5 runs in the second inning, and since then he's been nails.
Hernan Perez takes over at second base. And Luke Pekonen is now on the mound after those 7 very good innings from Anibal Sanchez. So that league-leading ERA will go down for Sanchez, giving up just 1 run in the 7 innings. Royals have Carlos Pena, Billy Butler, and Jamie Carroll coming up. Fouled away by Pena. Let's go to Joel.
Well, Ryan, when you have nights like this, good or bad, they usually stand out in the history books, and this one will be one that the Royals don't want to remember. 3rd most hits ever allowed in a game, and what's maybe interesting is that the most hits ever, maybe you remember this one, Ryan, May 27th, 2004, here against the Tigers. It was a 17-7 loss in Detroit that game.
I remember the guy at the plate right now.
Well, that's what I was wondering. 27 hits. So I didn't even need to ask you the trivia question. The number 8 hitter that day was Carlos Pena. Went 6 for 6 with 4 runs, 5 RBIs, 2 homers, a double, and 13 total bases. And the number 9 hitter was Omar Infante. 4 for 4, 2 runs, 2 RBIs. Not a pretty day for Brian Anderson, Justin Huesman, Scott Sullivan, and Nate Field.
Who was the second guy?
Justin Huesman. Monty remembers him.
He does?
Yeah. Right, Monty?
All right, ask.
Huesman? Huesman.
Heisman?
He said Huesman.
Huesman?
Heisman?
I don't remember him.
Did he have a pose?
Here's one.
Huisman. However you want to say it. He went an inning and a third that day in relief for Brian Anderson. Gave up 8 hits and 6 earned runs.
That's not the only memory from that day. There was big news after that game as Pena strikes out, 1 down in the 8th. After that game that Joel was just talking about, the Royals traded Carlos Beltran to the Houston Astros. That was the deal that brought Mark Teahen, John Buck, and Mike Wood to the Royals. Royals at the time needed a third baseman, they needed a catcher, and they got a pitcher. It was a 3-team trade. In fact, there's a player that was involved in that trade that is here. Octavio Dotel is now pitching for the Tigers and eventually came to the Royals. Dotel went from Houston to Oakland. Royals got John Buck from the Astros, Mark Teahen, and Mike Wood from the Oakland A's.
Worked out okay, didn't it?
Carlos Beltran, after that long game that Joel was talking about, had with his wife Jessica, had gone to Mike Sweeney's house for a barbecue after the day game, and he always tells the story that that's where he got the call. We figured it was coming at some point. Beltran was going to be a free agent at the end of the 2004 season, but when it was going to come, we didn't know. And as Carlos and Mike Sweeney told the story, they were just about to pull the steaks off the grill, and Carlos' phone rang, and for the first time in his life, he was traded.
Wow. Shocker.
So 2 down against Luke Pekonen from the Tigers organization, 3rd round pick in 07 out of the University of North Carolina. Now Jamie Carroll hits for the first time.
Pekonen, he's got a mid-90s fastball, big curve, and a split finger.
2-0. Royals faced a lefty yesterday and Joe Saunders, so Jamie Carroll was in the starting lineup and was 1 for 2 with a double and a run scored, replaced by Mike Moustakas, who hit the walk-off home run. Moustakas was not in the starting lineup. Nice diving play at third. And no throw is landing heavy. Danny Worth after handling that shot from Jamie Carroll.
Yeah, it was a short hop pick, and for a minute I thought maybe he caught it on the line, but he couldn't get up, hurt his shoulder. That'll be a base hit for Jamie Carroll. He'll take it. Okay, it's his left shoulder. It's kind of an awkward way to hurt your shoulder. His glove was down on with his elbow. It didn't look like he was fully extended. Sometimes when you lay out like that, it's going to jam your shoulder, but I guess he's good.
MLB.com At Bat is celebrating 5 years as your #1 mobile app for live baseball. The At Bat app delivers Royals with live audio, pitch tracking, stats, breaking news, and video highlights. Keep up with the daily drama of this year's pennant races by downloading At Bat now at your app store. Strike to Kataris. He batted for the first time in the 6th inning and singled to left. Oh, 0-2. Well, up on Crown Vision, they have just shown us that Omaha has won the semifinals of the Pacific Coast League playoffs as they beat Oklahoma City 7-6, so they win the series 3-0, even with most of their key players up with the Royals. Kataris strikes out on 3 pitches. The Royals are scoreless in the bottom of the 8th. So there's some good news tonight.
Nice.
Just focus your eyes on the score on the upper half of your screen.
That's right.
And this one involved a lot of hits all night long, and we promise we will not show you every single one of them again on Boulevard Royals Live. But after the game, Jeff Montgomery will break down the pitching performance of James Shields and tell you about Anibal Sanchez. And we'll hear from Ned Yost and much more coming up on Boulevard Royals Live after the game. We won't be hearing from that Huseman or Heisman guy or whoever he is, but we will put a wrap on this one. And Ryan, to fill in a couple of details, the Storm Chasers were down big in that game and came back and then scored 3 runs on a Gorkas Hernandez home run in the 8th to win it. So a nice sweep there for Mike Jershely's Storm Chasers.
Nice. Finish it off.
What was that, Joel? 3 straight division titles in a row?
Yeah, they've done well, and you're right. A lot of the guys that have spent time in that lineup this year at some point or another, from David Lowe and all the way down to the most recent players that have come up, and they still have some players there, but it's definitely been rated. So they're doing it with a lot of guys that have been around in the minors for a lot of years. Kudos to them.
Aaron Crow takes over in the 9th inning. This is Brian Holiday, one of the Tigers catchers, and he's out on a ground ball to Siriaco. There have been years when the Royals have not been playing meaningful games, obviously, this time of the season. And Dayton Moore and J.J. Piccolo and their staff, they really believe in winning in the minor leagues. And when AA Northwest Arkansas, though it's a pretty rare occasion when the Royals would bring somebody up from AA. But if they're in the playoffs, Omaha's in the playoffs, that would delay calling up some of the guys to the big leagues. Oh, good to see Brian Polberg, manager of AA Northwest Arkansas. Now, some teams, it's all about winning and developing at the major league level, so they don't really care if a team is in the playoffs. They're calling guys up. But if the Royals weren't playing meaningful games, I really believe in winning together, going through a potential championship season, even though it's in the minor leagues.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. You want to develop a winning mentality, and it starts down there. A lot of this Royals players now, Moose and Haas, those guys won a few years ago when they were down there, and that's a good thing. It's never a bad thing. When you're in professional baseball, you're paid to win.
And so this year is different. Royals now the focus is on the major league team and winning here this year. So Royals took several of those players from AAA. Andy Dirks, what a game. That's off of Pena's glove, and he's going to dig for 2. That is a 5-hit game for Andy Dirks, and on base 6 times.
Wow. Salary drive.
All right, time for a Mazda game break as we go to Cleveland. And Nick Swisher against Tim Burdick of the Mets. Tim Burdick, a former Royal. And that would be a grand slam. And Cleveland beat the Mets 8-1.
Interleague games in September.
And now Avila toward the right field corner. He will drive in a run as Andy Dirks comes around to score for the 4th time. And Dirks just beats the throw from Lorenzo Cain. So Dirks caps his first career 5-hit game with a 4th run scored. And Alex Avila has a 3-hit game. That is his first RBI tonight. The Tigers have 26 hits.
And it just doesn't matter who Ned brings in. This has been a Tiger night. They just keep coming.
Hernan Perez hits for the first time. Omar Infante was the starting second baseman, and he had his first career 5-hit game and 6 RBI game.
Man, a lot of guys having career games. The Tigers.
Dyson coming up for it. Avila is halfway. That is the second out.
Plus, the Tigers have left 10 men on base, too. All those numbers. A lot of crooked numbers up there for Detroit.
On the ground to Giavotella. So the Tigers add another run. So we go to the bottom of the ninth, and in about 2 minutes, you're going to witness the greatest comeback in Royals history.
Let's see it.
Mazda game break, and we go to St. Louis and the top two teams in the National League Central. And how about this? In the first inning, Carlos Beltran's line drive skips past Andrew McCutchen and scores 2. And a very similar game on the other end of the state, although the home team's doing a lot better, as St. Louis leads Pittsburgh 12-1 in the top of the 8th inning. So when the night's over, there will be 1/2 game back of the Pirates in the Central. Drew Smyly comes on to pitch in the bottom of the 9th in a 16-1 game. The Royals actually scored the first run in the bottom of the first against Anibal Sanchez. And the Tigers scored 5 in the second, 5 in the fourth, 3 in the fifth, 2 in the seventh, and 1 in the 9th. One and one on David Lowe.
David Lowe made a nice catch down left field. You're looking at that right side of his with all of that grass stain on him. Boy, that'll be tough to get out, but he's a hard ball player and he made a beauty.
And hit well toward the right field corner. Andy Dirks will have to play it off the wall, and David Lowe in a 15-run game will settle with a leadoff double. So he's 1 for 4.
He's having a nice rookie season, that's for sure. He's tied for 3rd in multi-hit games, tied for 2nd in triples. And you know, you want a triple on that, okay? You're a baseball player. You only know one speed. But the proper technique is before you get to second base, you take a peek at your third base coach, and Eddie Rodriguez was saying, don't come, stay there. It probably could have made 3 in a close game.
Oh, and 1 on Dyson, who has a hit. He's 1 for 3.
Hey, watch him here. See, he's looking. That's proper. The ball's behind you down the line. You can't see it. You can't turn your head that way and run. So you pick up the third base coach who can see it. He lets you know.
1 ball, 1 strike. One and 2 on Dyson. And that gets through Avila. So David Lowe goes to third. That is a wild pitch.
Smiley's going to come at you with everything. He's it could be a starter for most teams, but not on the Tigers. They've got too many good arms, and not that he's not, but he's the young man. And low men on the totem pole, so they use him out of the pen. He's been very effective. Sinks his fastball. He's got a good cutter with that fastball, slider curve, and a changeup to righties.
This will get a run home. Castellanos makes the play in left field, and a sac fly gets David Lowe to the plate, and the crowd finally has something to cheer about.
Yeah, they're happy. That's a good thing. Yeah, you called it. This could be the biggest comeback in their history, right?
They're on their way. You got to start somewhere.
That's right.
Siriaco takes a strike.
Siriaco is a nice player. Yeah, I mentioned earlier, we saw him run, and I thought he might have got an infield hit there, but they gave him an error. But good runner, plays good left side of the infield and some second base.
Two and one. There was a louder than normal ovation for Drew Smyly when he was announced into the game. At least louder than normal for a visiting relief pitcher. He is from Little Rock, which is about 425 miles south. He went to Central High School, and when the Tigers are in town, a lot of family and friends come to see him pitch. And he's going to give up his second extra base hit in the inning as Siriaco has his first hit as a Royal.
Yeah, nice piece of hitting there. Look for something he could handle, and he did right down that line. Shot it down there.
Lorenzo Cain batted in the 7th and grounded out to short. 0-1.
Fans are still having a good time.
Castellanos makes a play in left field, 2 down. Well, the baseball season isn't over yet. Don't forget to pick up the latest Royals gear at Rally House. Johnny Giavotella bats for the first time. Johnny was in the starting lineup yesterday. Couple at bats, line to right, grounded out to second base.
Did you ever get a report on Chris Getz?
Pulled just foul, 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, the reports so far are good for him. And when we were in Toronto, remember, he was hit in the head when he was sliding into second base.
One hopper hit right off of his helmet.
And then he tried to make a play the other night against Seattle and leaping up into the air, and then came down and hit his head hard on the turf.
Having some dizziness. Gio wants to make the most of it.
To Danny Worth, and that's the ball game. 16-2 Tigers. Royals get 1 in the first, 1 in the 9th, and in between, Detroit with a 5-run second, a 5-run 4th, a 3-run 5th, a 2-run 7th, and a 1-run 9th. But it's just 1 game.
That's right. They left 11 guys on too, by the way, but still, it's 1 game, and I guarantee you, in Ned's press conference, he'll probably call this one a stinker. That's what it was, if you're a Royals fan.
Our 4th player of the game, how about Omar Infante? His first Major League 5-hit game and first Major League 6 RBI game.
Oh, my goodness gracious. He'll never forget it. Hope he gets it again sometime, but not against the Royals. Unbelievable night. He crossed the plate in numbers. 26 hits. Wow. James Shields. Have to try it again next time.
So we'll forget about this one, and we'll look ahead when we come back.
Turn the page.